Hello, kids. I am so full. I just ate a huge dinner, but there is still food left over. I never like it when there is food remaining. Excuse me. I was supposed to be learning about long division with what they call remainders, but I told myself I do not like remainders, so I decided to eat all this food instead of learning about it. Oh. Maybe you guys can help me. Will you help me learn about long division with remainders? Great! Then maybe I will not feel so sick after learning this. Sometimes things cannot be divided equally, and there are some left over. One example I remember was when my sisters played hula hoop with their friends. There were 4 girls in all, but only 3 hula hoops. This meant that one girl could not play with the hula hoop at the same time. Just like this situation, division does not always come out equal, and that is when we have what we call a remainder. A remainder is the number left over after dividing the 2 numbers that cannot be evenly divided. Now, if you watched my last video on long division, you will remember the funny acronym we used. Do monkeys sell crispy bananas? This helps us remember the steps to long division. Here we have 25 divided by 8. The first step is asking ourselves if 8 goes into the first digit that is closest. Does 8 go into 2? The answer is no, so we put a 0 up top or leave it blank and pull in the next digit. Does 8 go into 25, and how many times without going over? If we know our multiplication facts, we know that 8 does not go into 25 evenly, but 8 times 3 equals 24, and that is the closest we can go without going over. We divided, and now we do multiplication. 3 times 8 is 24, and it goes directly under the dividend of 25. We now move on to subtraction. 5 minus 4 equals 1, and 2 minus 2 is 0. Our next step is to check and see if 8 goes into the number we just got, which is 1. The answer is no. 8 does not go into 1 because 1 is smaller than 8. The last step is to bring down, but there is nothing left to bring down. The question is, what do we do with our leftover or remainder? We will take this number 1 and put it up here with our answer. The letter R means remainder, and the 1 is what was remaining after solving the problem. So the quotient or answer is 3 with a remainder of 1. We now know that 8 goes into 25 3 times with a remainder of 1. Great job, guys! I am feeling so much better already. Let's do one last problem today. 163 divided by 5. Now this might look scary, but taking it step by step will make it easy. Pause the video and work the problem on your own and come back and join me. The first step is to ask if our divisor of 5 goes into the first digit, which is 1. The answer is no, so we put a 0 up top or leave it blank and pull in the next digit. Does 5 go into 16, and if so, how many times? The answer is 3 times. Now we multiply. 5 times 3 gives us 15. Now we subtract 16 minus 15, which gives us 1. We check if 5 goes into 1, which it does not, so we are doing good, and the last step is bring down. We bring down the 3, and it makes 13. We start the steps all over again with division. How many times does 5 go into 13 without going over? 2 times, so we write the 2 above. Now we multiply 5 times 2, which gives us 10. Subtraction is next, and 13 subtract 10 is 3. The next step is to check. Does 5 go into 3? And the answer is no. The last step is to bring down, but there is nothing left to bring down, so we are done. But we still have the 3 at the bottom as our remainder. What do we do with the 3? We write it up above with an R in front of it. We now have our answer, 32 with a remainder of 3. We did it! My friend is going to help us work another problem.
We're going to look at 1,255 divided by 2. Remember that our quotient is going to look a little bit different. It's going to have a remainder at the end. Let's start with our first step, and that is to divide. So I'm going to think to myself, okay, I need to first start in the thousands place, since that is our first digit. How many times can 2 go into 1? Well, 2 is larger than 1, so it cannot go into it. That means I need to move next door to the next place value to do my division. My next place value is in the hundreds place. Together I will have 12. Can 2 go into 12? Yeah, sure. It goes in 6 times. I'm going to make sure to write my 6 above the correct place value. Since we are dividing not into 1, but into 12, it's going to go above the 2 that is in the hundreds place. That's very important. Make sure you have everything lined up correctly. Then I can go to my next step, which is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply 6 times 2. I know that 6 times 2 is 12. I make sure to line up my numbers under the correct place value. And then go to my next step, which is to subtract. I'm going to subtract 12 minus 12, which I know is 0. My next step is to check. So I'm going to ask myself, can 2 be divided into 0? No, it cannot. So I am correct. I can move on to my last step, which is to bring it down. So I go and I look over to the next place value and I see I have a 5 there. That means I need to bring the 5 down. Then I go back to the beginning and ask myself, how many times can 2 go into 5? I know that 2 can go into 5 2 times. So I write my 2 over the tens place. Then I'm going to multiply my 2 times 2. I know that 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to put it under the correct place value, which is the tens place, and move to my next step, which is to subtract. I'm going to subtract 5 minus 4, which is 1. Then I check my work. I ask myself, can 2 go into 1? No, it cannot. So I checked my work and move on to bring it down. I see I have one number left in the ones place, which is a 5. I'm going to bring that number all the way down and put it next to the 1. Now I see that I have 15 left. I go back to the beginning and start with my divide. How many times can 2 go into 15? 2 can go into 15 7 times. I write my answer in the top. Next, we multiply, and I know that 7 times 2 is 14. I write my 14 lined up under the 15. Then the next step is to subtract. 15 minus 14 is 1. I check my work and I ask myself, can 2 go into 1? No, it cannot. So then I can bring it down. Oh, but I have nothing left to bring down. Well, that's where the remainder comes in. So we have no more division to do. We can't go any further. So that means we write an R, which stands for remainder. And we bring that remainder up next to the R. So our answer for this problem is 627 with a remainder of 1.
I am feeling a lot better, and now I know I can have a remainder or leftovers. Now can somebody roll me over? Oh, I'm still full.